Hi everyone and welcome to the French Watch Collector. Today on the bench we have a beautiful watch. We have a chronograph, you see a Jardur. I will talk about this brand a bit more. This is a watch I was sent by a subscriber, an American subscriber, and actually this is a watch which has American history. Look at this beauty, look at the hand on this watch. Just gonna check first if the watch is working, if everything is working. Gonna do a full restoration on this, full service on this watch. Wonderful. I love the hand, and you will see that on the hand there is an issue actually. This is something that you need to be very careful when you work on this type of watch. And now I check on the chronograph, and you see. Looks like the chronograph is working. I love this beautiful large chronograph second hand there. It's beautiful. Just gonna check. Yeah, we see 1 minute. It just moved by 1 minute there, so that's good. Perfect. The reset as well. The reset, you see, is very slow. So we're gonna see like if we can improve that. Just gonna open the case back. Just gonna use, you see my knife to open the case back. And look at this beautiful caliber. You see the engraving inside, stainless steel, obviously. Pilgrim Electric Corporation, Switzerland. You see the, I guess, what's the serial number on it. And look at this beautiful caliber in it, like obviously chronograph, column wheel. Looks like everything is working. I see a bit of rust, but yeah, for the age of this watch, it's not bad because obviously it's not a watch which is watertight. There is no gasket or ring around, so you need to be always careful when you use this type of watches. But it looks okay, yeah. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna disassemble and remove the caliber from out of the case there. Just gonna remove 2 screws which are keeping the caliber inside the case there. Perfect. Very long screw there. I love as well the case and the pushers as well, the shape. It's kind of oval shape on a pusher there. I found them very, very nice. Just removing now the winding stem. You see, it's just gonna release by a couple of turns there the screw here. And there we go. I just can remove now the winding stem. Perfect. And this is a chronograph. So on most of the chronograph, not all of them, but from this era actually, the case actually comes from the front of the watch. It doesn't come from the back. So for this, I need to remove. You see, you have a bezel on this watch, which is really rare actually on this chronograph. You don't have that many chronograph with bezel from this era. And you see, get access to the dial, this beautiful dial in very good condition. And now I just can remove. I just put the case back just to protect. When I remove the bezel from the front, I don't want to get anything damaged on the caliber on the back side there. And now I should be able to push it very gently, from the back. And you have always the pusher, which are a bit in the way, so you need to go very slowly. Perfect. And here is where you need to be very careful, actually, is the hands and the lume inside the hand. It can give some radiation. It's radioactive content which is inside the lume, so you need to be very careful when you breathe. So when I work on these watches, I always use extra extraction from hairs around my bench, because you don't want to breathe any dust that came out from these hands. So the hands I'm working on, and you get always stuff which are always protected, and you always watch everything that touched these ends. You need to be very careful because there are looms, but with radioactive substance inside. That's you need to be very careful. On this end, you have no looms, so that's okay. It's just painted. You see this white paint on it. So, and as well, you will have this radioactive lume as well. You see on the hours numbers or on the dials, because normally they will glow. Obviously, with time, it doesn't work anymore. Like the lume, like the luminous that go away. So you need to be always careful when you work on this type of watch. You always want to have ventilation around to like to vacuum any kind of dust that is on this dial. You need to put them away. You will see we're gonna put them in a box just to make sure it stays strapped in this box. All the box, everything you use, you always need to clean them after to remove everything out of the way on this radioactive end, because yeah, it's not good to breathe. When you wear the watch, obviously the watch is protected if you want, because you have the bezel, you have the glass on top, you have a case back, so you have a kind of protection to get access to this radiation. On the skin, you will get some very low through the case light radiation, but it's nowhere near the amount of radiation that is dangerous for the health. But for the watchmaker, it's something you need to be very careful. So that's why when you work on this type of watch, always be careful on the radiation from this type of end and dials. Okay, so I'm just gonna start to disassemble now the caliber. You see quite a complicated caliber actually. I will tell you which type of caliber it is as well. You see, we saw on a sub counter of the chronograph, you have the hour on the chronograph as well. So yeah, that's create extra parts on a chronograph, because the standard chronograph, you have the second obviously, and the minute. Sometimes you will have, like for example on this one, it's an add-on if you want, it's an extra complication. You will have the hour from the chronograph. Just managed to remove the power inside the mainspring. Just gonna remove, you see these beautiful jewels there, which are on top of the balance assembly here. Perfect there. Just gonna remove, like what I do every time. I just want to remove, as soon as possible, I want to remove the balance assembly, because I don't want to get it damaged. Like this hairspring is very, very thin. The spring that you see inside there is very thin, and if you touch it just a tiny bit, it will bend. And it will ruin the accuracy of the watch. And after, you can rebend it in shape, but it's like very difficult job. So just to avoid that, just remove the balance straight away from the beginning, so that you are sure you don't run the risk of getting anything damaged on this part. Okay, just removing, you see there the pallet fork, the cock which is on top there, with one ruby for this pallet fork here. Perfect. And now what I will start to disassemble is a complication, which is a chronograph complication. We see it's a manual watch. There is no automatic winding on top of it, this is an old watch, probably I would say in the 50s or maybe early 60s. And at this time, the automatic chronograph was even not invented yet. There was only manual chronograph. So that's why it's, you see like all this part from the chronograph, all these springs there that I remove first. I will give some tension between the parts of the chronograph to make it work, make it move when you push the pushers. You see as well on the bridge where you have these two ruby on there, you see again the Pilgrim name on top of this bridge. Just gonna use, you see there, my Presto tool to remove this chronograph driving wheel there, which is mounted in friction on this extended pivot. And you see there the caliber, yeah, we see some dirt, a bit of rust, but it's not bad actually for this age. Found the color as well of this part there of the bridge. They are not chrome. I don't know if it's kind of rust or anything which gives this color. It's a different color to other calibers, which I find it very nice, very different to other chronograph from this era. Beautiful patina as well on this caliber. Just gonna remove, you see this spring there which connect to the column wheel here. Just remove, you see there, the hammer. And now I just remove this bridge here from the chronograph wheel. There's a minute wheel on the right and the second wheel from the chronograph right in the center of the caliber there. Very gentle. It's quite tight sometimes for the bridge and parts to be removed. I will get access there, you see, to the minute wheel, and there's the second wheel from the chronograph. Always be careful when you pull this chronograph, because see you have a very long pivot. This one is connected directly to the second end on the dial, and they are very long, so you don't want to bend them when you pull. You need to pull them straight up. So you need to always careful, because if they are bent, it will ruin the accuracy of your watch after. Still a couple of spring you see there. Perfect. And you see, you still have the marks on the parts on the main plate there, which is very very nice. You have a kind of a shadow there. It's very particular there. And this is a clutch I just removed there. And this is the last spring here. We give some tension there on the chronograph center wheel. And I think I remove all the chronograph parts there. From this side, obviously, we saw that on the other side of the dial, on the dial side of the caliber, you will have all the hour parts from the chronograph. We will disassemble that a bit later. And now I just check, you see, just checking the end shake, which is the movement from top to bottom on all the train of wheel, just to check if the jewels there are set correctly, if they did not move. Just gonna check there. You see, we see some, there is some movement there on the parts. That's there is a lot of movement here. We see if we can adjust that. Just checking the movement as well on the mainspring on the barrel assembly. And you see I'm just checking on this side as well if there is, and you see there the center wheel, we see a lot of movement. You see some side shake, which is a movement from left to right, which is way too much. And I will explain what does on a caliber you don't want to have. You want to have a tiny bit of head shake, because you don't want to have the parts which are constrained inside the plate here, because you want them to rotate freely. But if they have too much movement, which is from top to bottom or from the side, from left to right, this can cause some damage, because the parts, if they get to an angle, because obviously you will have the movement that allow them to move, the parts can rub to each other. The wheel can touch, for example, a bridge, and it will create some friction. And friction in a watch is your enemy, because it will ruin the amplitude, it will ruin the accuracy of the watch. So you don't want to have all this movement. You want a tiny bit of movement, but not too much. So that's what we're gonna reduce, you see, this movement. I'm gonna show you a bit later how we do that. Just gonna remove, you see, the bridge. So like I said, we are on the parts there from the hour parts of the chronograph. You need to have actually quite a lot of parts if you want. You see the amount of parts that you need just to have an hour counter on top of your watch. Already on a chronograph you have a lot of parts. But if you have an hour counter, an hour hands on your chronograph, you had, I would say, 30 to 30% extra parts on your chronograph parts. So that's quite a lot just to have an hour counter on top of it. So that's why when you have a chronograph with an hour counter, the watch obviously is more expensive, because you have a lot more parts. And if you do as well a revision on your part service on your watch, obviously it will take a lot more time, because you will have to disassemble, oil, and reassemble all these parts for just an hour on your chronograph. And you see there you have some wheels which are screwed underneath. And you want to disassemble everything just to make sure when I'm gonna clean the parts, all the dust, dirt, old grease, oils, everything will go away during cleaning. So that's why you want to disassemble everything to get access to this point to make sure everything is clean. Okay, so now I just disassemble everything on the hour counter from the chronograph. And now I just move back on the balance side. I'm just going to disassemble, you see, the train of wheels. So we have a first bridge here with a couple of jewels there. So we get access to some jewels. And you see, when I just checked the end check, it was way too much end check there. And I'm using this tool, you see, with this micrometric screw there, just to lower a tiny bit the jewel. I'm just going to put it, you see, in position just to make sure if the end shake is correct. So like that, I know when I will reassemble the watch, it's already done. The jewel is set correctly. Just going to screw the bridge, you see, fully in position. And I'm just going to check the end shake again to see if we need to have, you see, a tiny bit of movement, but not too much. Before it was way too much. So we lower it down a tiny bit because, again, you want to have some movement, but not too much. And obviously with the tool that I use, you can do it like several times. You can move like micron by micron, but you can go step by step. And even if you move it too far, you can go the other way around on a bridge and push the jewels the other way around just until you get the proper amount of end shake on your jewel. Now I just remove, you see, this big bridge here, you see, with some parts underneath. And now we have access to the rest on the train of wheel. You see there, I'm just removing the rest of wheels. And you have the bar assembly with, you see, all the parts. Just gonna remove, you see, there's a crown wheel here, which is underneath the bridge. And again, like I said, you just want to disassemble everything to get access to all this cleaning point. We're going to put it inside the cleaning machine. Just, you see these tiny screws here. Perfect. And we have a click here. Just remove the screw. Just can get the click out of the way here. You see, which is in position with this spring. And again, you see there, it was too much end shake there. So I'm just going to use my tool there with the pump just to push the jewel inside the main plate a tiny bit just to get it perfect. Like that, I know when we're going to reassemble the watch, all the end shake will be perfect on the train of wheel. Now, I'm just going to remove the rest of parts, you know, the keyless work, which is on the dial side. You see the minute wheel there, we're just going to remove, and a couple of intermediate wheel there. See a bigger one, a smaller one. And we have, you see, like a big spring here. And I'm just going to remove the yoke spring, you see there, which is in position with this screw. It's a very strong spring, so you will always need to be careful when you disassemble this watch. And we have another screw on the yoke. I'm going to remove there. You see, we have a nice finish as well on this plate there, with this kind of round shape on the bridge on the other side, on a plate on the other side. I'm just going to remove, you see there, the last couple of parts. There we go. Just going to remove the jewels from the balance assembly, which is on the dial side there. Beautiful jewel there. Gold color, you see, with this spring on top and just closing in position. Just gonna disassemble, you know, the bar assembly. Just get access to the mainspring inside. Wow, look at the spring. Beautiful color, which is a very old mainspring. I love this old mainspring with this one, a copper color. Sometimes they are blued. They have like different type of color. And here we see the shape. The shape will be, I think, very different on this one. on his old mainspring, you will see will be like a kind of a snail shape. Very gently, I'm just gonna remove the mainspring and look at the shape, like this kind of, which is not normal. Normally, like the traditional, like this is a very old one, and the new mainspring, like say, they will have more of a S shape. So we're I saw it with the owner. I'm just gonna put a brand new mainspring because this one are really old. They can break because the material which is on his old mainspring, they are not the same compared to the new one. They can break very easily, and as well, the shape is not very efficient in terms of power inside the watch when the power come out. So for sure, the new mainspring are much better. So we're gonna put a brand new mainspring on this caliber. Just did a pre-cleaning, you see there on a pivot point on all of the train of wheel. Just gonna do the same thing you see there on a big bridge on a main plate there. Just gonna put it in a solution just to brush and get out of the way the biggest part of the dirt, oil and grease which can stay inside this part there. And obviously after that, we're gonna put it inside the traditional basket and inside my cleaning machine. But this is a pre-cleaning if you want. So I'm just gonna do a quick dry there. You see that I'm just gonna blow some air just to remove any maximum amount of the fluid there on these parts. Perfect. What I'm gonna do first, you remember like in the center wheel, it was way too much side shake there. So I'm gonna use there my tool just to close, the hole. I'm just gonna make it a tiny bit smaller. And we saw we had it on the main plate, but we added as well on the bridge on top of the center wheel. So I'm gonna close both of these holes. I'm gonna open it a tiny bit, the hole. You see now the hole is too small, like the hand doesn't fit anymore. So I'm gonna use this, what's called a smoothing brush here. I'm just gonna open ever so slightly the hole, the diameter of the hole, because now we saw it, like the hand is not fitting. So I'm gonna open it to the perfect size. And after I will just do a polish around just to make sure the surface will be perfectly smooth again. Because like I said, the enemy inside your caliber is a friction. So you want to have, like, when you have a part which is metal against metal, for example, on this pivot point, you want it to be as smooth as possible. And you see there the top, like we open the bottom. I'm gonna do the same thing on the top. You see there it was not fitting, the hole was too small. So I use a smoothing brush here to open it a tiny bit. And you see now it's fitting perfectly, and we don't have the side shake anymore. So that's perfectly what we wanted. And I'm just gonna do a polish like we did on the other one on the main plate. I'm just gonna do the same thing on this bridge. Like that, I know there will not be any like bad stuff inside the pivot point. So like that, it will be perfectly smooth again. Just gonna put the balance in position because this is a perfect place to keep it, just to make sure it doesn't get damaged during cleaning inside the machine. Will you see it's spinning quite fast inside the cleaning machine, and again I don't want to damage this hairspring there. So this is a safe place to keep it during cleaning. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put all these parts one by one inside this, first starting with a tiny basket, and I'm gonna put bigger baskets all the other parts, and you will see there's quite a lot of parts on this watch. A difficult caliber, obviously a chronograph is always more difficult than a standard watch, but this one with the hour counter on top of it, that's a lot of parts to disassemble and later on to reassemble as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean the parts now inside my machine. And just to tell you as well that I have a Patreon page. So I'll put a link down below. I will put a link as well in the description. And I just would like to thank my existing Patreon, which are already subscribed in my Patreon account. And you can go there and actually you will see on my Patreon, you will get access to the video free of commercial. You will get access some, for example, you will get a present after a while, like stickers from my channel. So if you want to go there, and it will help a lot to support my channel because it takes a lot of time to do this video for you guys. So you can go to my Patreon and it will help me a lot to support my channel. So thank you in advance if you want to go there and subscribe to one of my Patreon plan. And as well, if you didn't subscribe to the channel, click on the subscribe button. That will help a lot to promote as well my YouTube channel. Click on a thumbs up if you like the video. That will help as well to promote this video to all the watch lovers out there. So yeah, don't hesitate. I know like a lot of people watch this video, but I think at least 30 to 20% of the people are already subscribed. But if you want to subscribe to the channel, you will get as well a notification if you click on a bell icon. I try to put a video every 2 weeks, and it will help as well a lot my channel to grow and share the passion to other watch lovers out there on YouTube. Okay, so like I said, I put a brand new mainspring you see on the barrel. I'm just gonna close now using my Orotech tool as well. I will put a link down below in the description and a link to Orotech, to some of the tools that I use. And as well, if you have any question on the tools, anything on techniques, just put everything you want in the comments. I will be very happy to answer to your question. Don't hesitate to say and to put anything in the comment. Okay, so now after you saw I just finished to lubricate and put some oil on a barrel, I'm just gonna do what's called an epilene treatment on some of the parts of this watch. Just gonna put, you see, the parts inside this bottle. That will be inside this epilene solution, and the epilene will help to maintain the oil on the surface. It will not spread anymore. Now I'm just remove the epilene from the pivot point. You see both pivot point of the escape wheel and the pallet fork. And now the epilene is done. What we're gonna do the oiling of the jewels. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use just putting, you see, the chaton back on the jewel. I'm just gonna use my automatic oiler there, just to put a drop of 9010, which is a very thin oil on the jewel there. I put it in position, put it back on the balance, and you see now I'm just closing the spring on top. And basically, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. You see, put a drop of oil right in the center of the jewel with my automatic oiler. We see the drop of oil there on the jewel right in the center. And now I'm just going to put it with the spring here. Perfect. Okay, I'm just going to check if the balance is perfectly in terms of for the air spring, if there is no friction, and if the air spring is perfectly concentric, there is no, like I said, no shocks or anything that bend the air spring, or if it's not perfectly flat. And that's what I'm doing right now. You see, I'm just gonna untight a tiny bit this screw, and the air spring is not perfectly flat. It was too high, so I'm just gonna push there. You see, on this part, just to make sure the air spring is perfectly flat again. Because if it's more flat, you will get more force, if you want, the force will be in the same plan, in the same direction. So that's when you have the hairspring, which is perfectly flat. What I'm going to do now, because we just re-oil and re-grease and prepare, you know, the barrel assembly, we did the same thing as well with the balance. So what we're going to do now, we're going to start to reassemble the caliber. Starting, you remember, under this bridge, it was a couple of parts. Starting by the crown wheel, which I'm removing, putting in position right now. We had a click as well, the click for the ratchet wheel. And you will see me using a lot of grease and oil on these calibers. Again, this is just to make sure the caliber will run perfectly again. It will reduce the friction between the parts. It will reduce the wears as well. You see, for all the points which are metal against metal, it will reduce the wear between the parts. And now I'm just putting, you see, the barrel with the new spring that we put inside. put the ratchet wheel, and now we're going to put each wheels from the train of wheel. Yeah, I just want to tell you as well about this caliber. You see there is no marks actually on this caliber. No, nothing, like no name, no brand, no reference number on this caliber. So yeah, you don't know actually. It's much easier when you see which caliber or which brand of caliber it is actually. But there you have nothing. So actually you need to, when you work on watches for a while, you recognize the caliber. And after online as well, there is a lot of websites which are very useful as well to find the calibers. And this is actually a Valjoux, so which is a fantastic brand from the chronograph from this era, and still today actually is part of the ETA group now, the Valjoux. But yeah, these calibers, this is a Valjoux 71. Fantastic calibers from the era. Very let's say expensive, like, because this is a caliber like that was used in wonderful watch. For example, I will talk about the Jardur as well, about this type of watch. But yeah, these calibers that were used, like for example, like in Patek Philippe, like from chronograph from this era in Patek Philippe, they were using some Valjoux calibers. Obviously, that was decorate and done a tiny bit by Patek, but the base is a Valjoux on some of this vintage chronograph. The Rolex Daytona, the manual Rolex Daytona, for a long time it was with this Valjoux as well caliber inside. So yeah, it's a very famous caliber, and this 7-1 as well from Valjoux. It's a great caliber, and you see it's a watch which is like nearly 70 years old, 80 years old, and they're still running perfectly if you maintain them properly. So that's to say the quality that was done at the time on this caliber is unbelievable. Yeah. Okay, so you see now I just remove on the other side the train of wheel. Now I'm just gonna reassemble what's called the all the parts that go around the keyless work. Just putting some grease there, you see. On this part of the caliber, actually, you will have a lot of strength inside the caliber. You will have, because you will see the strong springs that we're going to put. You will have a lot of tension between the parts, metal against metal. So you want to use something thicker than oil. So that's why you use this grease there on these parts. Again, it's just to make sure that the parts can move freely and reduce the friction between the parts, and as well just to make sure that the parts which are metal against metal don't wear too much. You have the grease that will prevent the wear between these parts. And this is a strong spring. Look at the thickness on this spring there, with this kept in position with a screw here. So I'm going to put it not fully, you see. I'm going to screw it but not fully until I can put it in position. Perfect. And after, when it's in position, you will be able to screw this screw fully in position again. Okay, I'm just going to put some grease there. Some oil you see there on the wheels, where you have the pivot point, for example, there, the pivot wheel, the minute wheel, sorry, and there. Just gonna put the parts in position one by one. You remember it was a couple of intermediate wheels, they're different size, and now we have this plate that come on top and cover all this of these wheels. Perfect. And now we have one last part, which is this spring here, which is, you will see a spring which is very important because it will give the position when you pull on the crown. On this one you have two positions: the original position, which is the winding position of this manual watch, and the second position when you pull on the crown is to adjust the hour of your watch. And you see there you have the two positions on these parts. a bit too much grit there, and we're gonna remove it a bit with some radical. I'm gonna put now the pallet fork. You see there with the cock on top, gonna align. Just need to be always careful. It's the same thing when you do it on a train of wheel. Just want to make sure before you press, you see there on this bridge, just want to make sure the pivot point is aligned with the jewel, or else you will bend the pivot point, and this is a very bad news if you do that. So you just want to make sure everything is aligned before you press on the bridge, and especially after you put the screw, because the screw will crush and we put everything in position, and if the pivot is not aligned perfectly, it will bend it. You see now we have the power that went to the pallet fork, and we're gonna oil the exiting jewel there, you see there, of the pallet fork under my microscope there, just using a grease there. And again, if you did not subscribe, that will help me a lot to promote the channel. It will help as well everyone to share the love there on the watchmaking. So thanks if you wanna click on the thumbs up and click as well on a subscribe button for the channel. And you see there, I just did a couple of times the greasing on this part of the movement. Just gonna do the oiling, you see there on the pivot point under the microscope there. Just gonna show you all the point, but you see you use basically two different type of oil, a low viscosity and a medium viscosity. There you see this red one is a medium viscosity oil there that go on a barrel pivot point. And now I'm just gonna put the balance wheel, the balance assembly, and see if the watch want to start again. Just very slowly go in position. It's not, yeah, perfectly. You see, as soon as I touch it, it went down in a joule. Now it's in position, and look at this beautiful caliber running again. Just gonna screw it in position. There we go. So now basically what we have a watch which is giving time. Like we have there the second, the minute, the hand, and can give like it's a 3 hands watch or 2 hand watch if you don't have the second. But obviously this one is a chronograph, so what we're gonna do now, we're gonna add the complication on top of it, which is the chronograph complication. And like I said, this one is quite complicated because you have this extra complication on the chronograph with the hour counter on this chronograph. So we're gonna reassemble all the parts. Starting, you see there with the brain, like I said, this is the brain of the chronograph, the column wheel, which is a part basically which will make, when you rotate, it will make all the parts of the chronograph move to start, stop, and reset the chronograph. So this is a very important part. And obviously you have two kinds of chronograph. You have a column wheel, which is this type of hand, and after you will have a cam chronograph, which is a different type. The parts have exactly the same function, if you want, on your chronograph, but it's a different design. Obviously at the time, and still today, a chronograph column wheel, let's say, is a bit more, it's better. Like the sensation when you are on a pushers, like the click is much sharper. Even if today with the cam they managed to do, obviously they did a lot of improvement on the cam. For example, today if you go to Omega, like for example in a Moonwatch, they use cam calibers even on the caliber which are made today. Obviously, if you push on the pushers, they are fantastic. But if you take like older, for example, from the same era, if you take older cam chronograph, like the sensation it's not the same. And let's say the high-end chronograph had the column wheel, and the lower-hand chronograph had the cam at the time. So that's why this one, like I said, it was a very, very good, and still today a very, very good caliber, the Valjoux 71, and that's why on it you have it's a column wheel chronograph and not a cam chronograph. Okay, I'm just gonna put now this beautiful bridge here. Gonna align, you see, the wheel, the pivot point. Perfect. And now, when everything is aligned, we can secure it with the screw. Perfect. Okay. Now we're just gonna oil. You see, just the jewel in the center. The minute wheel, which is on the right side there. This one you don't oil the jewels from this wheel there. And you will see I'm gonna put a lot of springs inside the chronograph. Like I said on the chronograph, that's why you have a lot of spring, because the first movement that you have on a chronograph is the owner of the watch that give it. Is with your finger, you will push a pusher. So that's like, let's say, it's the entry points of the movement from the chronograph. For example, you will push the top pusher to start the chronograph. Just a tiny movement on your finger will make the column wheel rotate, and all the spring inside the caliber will make all the parts move, because obviously you need to move several parts to give the information from your fingers to all the parts on the chronograph to start, stop, and reset the chronograph correctly. So that's why you need to put all this spring to the spring will, let's say, keep the tension inside the caliber. They will like be a reserve, if you want, of power inside your chronograph. And just a tiny bit on your finger on a pusher will unleash the power on some of the parts to move these parts and make your chronograph start, stop, and reset. This is a very clever it's a very clever system. It was like I don't know when when was the first chronograph. I think it was obviously in pocket watches at the first, a long time ago. And like the people who like invented this caliber, like unbelievable. Like the way to create that, especially in an era where it was like even less, no electricity, no computer, nothing. This is unbelievable. Okay, so I'm just gonna put now, you see, more parts. You see, you have this big screw there, which keeping some of the parts together. You see, we have a spring there. I will come and arm this connecting rod there that come from the pusher to the column wheel. Perfect. Another spring there. And what I love on this caliber as well, you see the difference between, like, let's say, high-end caliber and low-end caliber. Like the spring there, they are not like a piece of wire that is bent in the shape of a spring. They are metal parts, machine, on a machine. Like it's not like wires. And this is like, it's wonderful when you work on this type of watch. And that's why they are like I said, this caliber is it's a very, very good calibers, and you see it in the qualities that were made at the time. It's not a cheap caliber, like a poorly made caliber. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just put what's called the clutch here from the chronograph. Just going to put the chronograph, you see, driving wheel there, which is mounted in friction there. And now I'm going to reassemble. Now we reassemble all the chronograph parts on the balance side. Basically, you have a chronograph with second and minute. And now I'm going to reassemble all the parts, starting, you see, with this wheel under the bridge. You see this long wheel there that connect, you see, from one side to the other side of the caliber. So this is all the parts for the hour chronograph, the hour parts of the chronograph. And you will see again, like we saw on the other side, you will put a lot of springs. And the same thing, because when you have a movement with your finger, you need to move, and that's what's the difficulty. And on this hour chronograph, because now you need to move the information with your finger. Okay, you move the information, and all the parts that we move on reassemble on the other side of the caliber with the minute and second. Okay, all the parts will move on one side of the caliber. But now with the hour, with just pushing with your finger, you need to move parts on both sides, on a dial side and on a balance side at the same time, to start, stop, and reset your chronograph. Because obviously when you start, stop, and reset the minute and a second, you want the hour to start, stop, and reset at the same time, or else it will not work. So yeah, again, this is very clever and a lot more complicated just to have an hour counter on your chronograph. This is the hour wheel of the chronograph, you see, with this hour shape cam on top. And basically you need to duplicate most of the parts that you have on it. You have a hammer, you have a brake, you have like obviously like low springs, some connecting rods. What you have on the other side, basically you will have one part to do the second and minute hand. There you will need to have one part just to do the hour hand. So that's why you need to add a lot of extra parts just if you want to have an hour complication on your chronograph. Okay, just putting there. Perfect. Just putting the rest of the parts there. And you see that's all these parts which are connected as well to the pusher, to, like I said, to start, stop, and reset the hour of your chronograph. There you see there is a big part which is connected as well with the hammer, which is the part that will come and hit against the hour wheel. Same thing, we have the same thing as well on the other side with the minute and second hand, to do the zero, to redo the zero of your hand when you reset your chronograph. Perfect. And this is the hammer which I'm lubricating there with some oil. And now we have this kind of connecting bridge, you see there, that I put in position with 2 screws. And again, like I said, it's just to make sure that when you push the pushers, all the information is given to different parts. And for that, you need to have some connection between parts. You need to have some spring that gives some tension and some movement to the parts. Very clever system there. Okay, and now I'm just going to put a big spring there. Again, like I said, just to keep and put some tension inside this side of the caliber on the hour. Just gonna screw, you see this spring there. Perfect. Another spring, and this is one of the only one on the chronograph which is, let's say, a piece of wire, because it's a very, very long chronograph. You see there that go underneath this bridge here. I'm just gonna put it in position just to make sure I can put this spring. There we go. And now I will be able to put the screw here, and you see I'm holding the spring with one tweezer, and I need to screw it at the same time. Perfect. Now it's in position. Okay, I'm just gonna do a quick clean as well on the case, just removing all the dirt, dust, and as well some of the rust as well on this case there. Just gonna use some pegwood just to remove first everything I can remove, and after we put that everything in an ultrasonic machine just to make sure it will be fully clean again. We do the same thing we did on a case back. We're gonna do it on the case there, especially around where we have the bezel. Just gonna remove everything I can, and now we do the same thing as well on the bezel there. And this watch, you see that there is a bezel as well. And this is actually, and you can put as well in a comment, it's a very interesting brand we saw at the beginning, Jardur Electronic Corporation, and actually it was American company that was doing, obviously in his name there is no the name electronic, that was doing electronic stuff for the aviation, and at one point they decided to make some watch, and actually you saw the watch were made in Switzerland because it was written Switzerland on the case back as well, but they were made under the name of Pilgrim Corporation, and the Jardur, actually that was a watch at the time that was made for the aviation as well, and it was a watch that was used by a lot of pilot fighters in the US Army. So yeah, it was a very and it's a watch which is sought after quite a lot as well by collectioner, because especially people which will look at watches for the aviation, but as well because it's a watch with a great caliber as well, and it's a watch which has quite a lot of money, quite a lot of value as well. So yeah, this is something which is very a very important watch for the history as well, for the US history as well. Yeah, and I'm very happy to work on this type of watch, which is a piece of history. Just gonna remove, you see there, the balance assembly, and I'm just gonna disassemble fully the balance assembly or part of it, and you will see why. Because actually this one, the bit error was not correct, so I need to realign the bit error, and you see there you need to get access, you see, to this collet there, to move it with a screwdriver, a tiny angle on it, and you can do that quite a few times until you get the proper bit error as well on the time grapher. And it's always a tricky thing because this is you don't have an adjustment for the bit error on this caliber, so you have to do it like this way to disassemble the balance, get access to the collet, and move it a tiny bit to get the proper bit error on it. Just gonna put the hour wheel in position. There we go. Just gonna put back this beautiful dial, and again, I just did not do anything on this dial. I did not clean it because first it was in very good condition, and I just wanted to keep it as vintage, as original as possible. And like I said at the beginning, even when you reassemble the watch, always be careful with this type of watch, with the radioactive substance that there is on it. So always need to put extra ventilation, like vacuum on top of your bench, just to make sure any dust will get sucked to the system with a filtration on it. And now I can put the caliber back inside the case, which we fully clean inside the ultrasonic machine. Put this beautiful, you see, just gonna put first the bezel and the crystal, and now I get access to put this screw there, like that. We will secure the caliber inside the case. For sure will not move anymore. And you see now it will go up, it will, well, it perfectly in position. Just gonna put the last pusher on the caliber here. It's always sometimes tricky to put back the caliber with the pusher, so it's better to put the caliber in position and put the pusher after that. And you see I need to realign it like in the case. Perfect. And when it's in position, just gonna check, you see with the finger we see all the parts are moving. Now we'll have the start and stop, and now the reset. Yeah, we have the reset working, start, stop. You see all the parts moving, and now the reset with the hammer hitting against the chronograph wheel and the minute wheel. We do the same thing on the other side as well on the hour wheel, and we have the reset of the chronograph. Just gonna place back the hour hand there, obviously same thing on the hand. I just wanted to keep the original look on this beautiful Lume hand there with this radioactive substance in it. Just gonna align the minute hand there perfectly with the hour. And I love the shape. Like, it's almost this type of shape, like this type of hand, like you had on a vintage, very old pocket watch, like very thick hands, which is like especially you have it a lot in aviation. For example, if you see the pilot watches, you will have like big hands, because for sure it's a lot easier to see and to read as well on a chronograph for the hand on the chronograph, because when you are and you pilot an airplane, you want to check the time, or if you do a calculation when you're on it, like you don't want, because if you have very thin hand and you're not sure, like with big hand, you will see it, like it will be much easier to see it. Same thing with this white hand you see there. You will see them very easily on a black die there. So I need to align, you see, all this hand in position. And now you see this massive, huge chronograph second hand, which I found wonderful, the shape of this hand there. So just gonna put it in position. Perfect. Need to align everything perfectly to the 0 position as well of your chronograph, which is the hour, the minute, and the second hands. Perfect. Now just gonna put back the bezel and just gonna check on the case back here. And look at this beautiful chronograph. Just gonna make it run now to see if everything is working. Just gonna realign it. I see on a minute hand, I need to tweak it a bit, the minute hand, but we see everything is moving. We see the hour hand as well, which is a sub-counter. It's moving very slowly, but it's moving as well. And the 0, we just need to adjust the minute hand, but everything else is in pretty good condition there. Perfect. Just gonna realign tiny bit the minute hand there until it's perfectly to 0. Gonna demagnetize the watch before we see the result on a time grapher, but just to tell you as well that I have my own website, so I'll put a link on the top right corner and as well in the description of this video. You can go there on my website, you will see some of the watch which are for sale, some of the watch that I service and restore on this channel. And as well, if you want to send me your watch for restoration, for example, this subscriber that sent me this beautiful Jardur Chronograph, you can go there and contact me on my website and I will be very happy to work on your watch. And look at the result on a time grapher. We have an amplitude which is nearly 300 degrees with a bit error which is 0.7 milliseconds, so below 1 millisecond, which is perfect there. And the watch is just losing a couple of seconds per day that I will still manage to tweak it a bit and get it perfect. But look at this beautiful watch. I loved working on this Valjoux 71 from Jardur. So I hope you like the video and I see you next time. Bye bye.